All right, guys, we're starting the year off big. 1,200 horsepower. Every 1,200 horsepower turbo Trans Am, 91 millimeter turbo, 388 cubic inch LS on Holley EFI, built 400, built rear end, Viking suspension. This thing is a true muffin cap peeler. Alright guys, it is triple entry today and today only, the launch of the Nastico brand. I appreciate you guys supporting and picking up some shirts. We got those 2 brand new shirts out there, which you guys can pick them up on the website, and everything on the website is triple entry. So go over to lsnasty.com, first link in the description below, and get your entries to win that badass 1,200 horsepower Trans Am. Whew! Alright boys, girls, kids, dogs, cats, whatever. We're back and we're making progress because that's what we do. We work all day in the office and we come out here at night and we're getting stuff done. It's just me and my guy Tyler here tonight. Tyler, I got to give you a shout out for coming here and giving me a hand because I would have been lone wolfing it, getting nothing done. Yeah, everyone's leaving. Not saying that you're like 3rd or 4th string. It's just... I'm the backup's backup. No. When Tyler's here, we're getting stuff done. So we're working on the Bad Apple. As you guys can see, we've been doing a lot of working and calculations and stuff, and now like I finally grabbed the camera because we're ready to put the transmission in the car. We went and got some hardware for the converter because we had to piece the converter back together because we were stuck in something else and modified it. Now we put it all back to the way it was. I did get a wheel. Shout out to Pops. I sold him the wheels that I had before, and then he brought them back here to take the tires off of them. I'm like, hey, it's a 4-bolt pattern wheel. We can use it for mock-up, and we found out some awful news that the backspacing is non-existent that we would actually want. So that sucks. So we're going to have to narrow this thing. With the length of the rear end right now, in order to get the wheel to fit in the fender well, it'd be a 15 by 12, 8.5 inch backspace double beadlock, which they don't make. They don't do that. So we have to do a... narrowing of the rear end. And then what's also odd is I guess this is a Mark Williams rear end, but it's got Mark Williams axle flanges on it, not just like the big 4 9-inch. Also, there's a bird in here and it's pissing me off. Dude, is it living right there? Dude, that looks like a place where a bird would live. I'm not gonna lie. The bird stopped talking. Dude, this is absurd. They keep making noise. So we're gonna have to get some new Mark Williams axle flanges. The difference with the axle flanges, this is 3x3, and I'm not sure if it uses a different bearing where the other ones are not symmetrical, or they're 2-inch spread. This is 3-inch spread. It's a square. So we're gonna have to take 4 inches out of here, which would put the starting of the axle flange right here, which will work because this is the short side. And then we'll run some 15 by 12, 4.5 inch backspace double beadlock wheels. So as of now, there is no wheel solution, but there will potentially be a wheel solution here shortly. So we're gonna have to take the rear end out, take the axles out, send the axles off, get them shortened, get the rear end narrowed, put everything back in the car, and then go from there. So 1 step forward, 2 steps back, but we're actually marching towards our goal. Tyler and I just got done clearancing the transmission area for the firewall because it was way too tight, and we're going to stick the transmission there. The reason we're sticking the transmission there is I know it's not going to work, but I'm just going to hope that for some odd reason the transmission cross member bolts up. I've done some like basic measurements and it's telling me it's not going to, but for shits and giggles we're just going to cross our fingers. Yeah, it's a crapshoot at this point. So we're gonna throw this heavy ass transmission up here on said jack. We are going to stick the converter in said transmission, shove it all up in there, and hopefully get it bolted ideally by next week. So today is Friday night. I'm not sure how much work I'm gonna get done on Saturday. The goal would be to have wheels for the front end, have the front end all painted and done, have your tie rod ends made. So like the front end is like done. Have all of this stuff cleaned up. Have the rear end out of the car getting fixed and have the transmission cross member in. So that's my goals for next week where I want to be. I just want to keep making progress on this guy and keep knocking it out and just chipping away at it. Once we get all that stuff done, the transmission cross member made, get the steering column made, get the seat put in there, then we'll start working on the turbo kit. So I'm trying to get like most of the chassis stuff done before we start working on the turbo kit. It's up to Chris whether he wants to go all steel, all glass on the front end or just put some doors and front end on it. That's completely up to him. So whatever he says, I'll do. It's pretty simple. You know, he says jump, I jump. You know, it's a piece of cake. But that's really up to him. I mean, the car is going to be extremely light. It's got a badass motor in there. I don't know if we want to try the all steel, all glass stuff. Maybe we'll have 2 front ends. Who knows? But for now, what we're going to do is we're going to get the transmission up in the car. That is our goal for this evening. Get it in there, get it bolted to it, eyeball, maybe start to modify the transmission cross member. All right, we got everything in there. Transmission's in there. Forgot to put the pilot for the converter in, so we got to take it back out at some point. As you can see, our transmission cross member is not transmission cross memberine. Back here is where it's got to be, so probably build a tube that comes across here with a clover in it, and then have it where this is removable. So as you can see, this is left on there from the last one. Transmission cross member broke, so I got to order some clovers now, and then we'll cut this stuff off. I mean, honestly, there's really no, this looks like it's an important piece, so I feel like this needs to be connected because this is a number on the bars to be certified. So I don't know how this one's gonna work right there, because that's a serious problem. The more I look at it, the less I enjoy looking at it. So I'm pretty sure this, because this goes back, frame rail, this is supposed to be one of the crossbars. I know it does have an X here and crosses here, but I don't know. There is something in the rule book that says they want a bar that goes underneath like the torque converter that goes like straight across here, but no one runs it. So maybe that's what this bar would be. That is not necessary. This side, as far as running it back to this, is not a problem, but this side, it definitely would be a problem. So, yeah, not ideal on that one. That's not looking too sharp, is it?
No. Yeah, no.
Yeah, no. This one is just like if you had to run put a clover here and run a bar that came back like a U, you could, but you couldn't even get the clover on here. And this bar here is not movable because I mean, look at everything it's tied to. It's got 1, 2, 3 bars going to it. They might say, see, you can't run a bar from here over because it intersects that, and then you'd have to go like, yeah. I don't know. I'm gonna have to ask someone that like builds chassis, and I'll send a message to Cameron Johnson down at CJRC and be like, hey bud, oh, what's the solution? I mean, putting something in here that goes to there is no big deal, but we want to make sure that the car is safe for one, and we want to make sure that everything will work. So,
well, so here's my question: if you could somehow finagle that in there,
see, I wonder if
eliminate this bracket and just put the bar back in there.
Yeah, it's just so it was like you'd have to maybe if you cut this further back and then build the bar with like a really hard kick back, and then put a clover in from here to here, like weld this permanently, and then have it where it comes across, and then it would just be like a non-symmetrical deal. Like you'd have to sleeve it, weld it, put the tube on, and then cut the tube, put your clovers in, and then have it go from there. Not ideal. 2-speed 400 is like the greatest transmission known to man. Way bigger than a Power Glide. So if you get a car built for a Power Glide, I just like, I mean, they make Power Glide length stuff, but that's not even Power Glide length. You know what's weird is like we ran the, I'm pretty sure we ran the mid plate the same. Like those are the tabs that were on the car for the mid plate prior. I could be wrong. I don't know. Maybe I'm not right. I don't know. It looks pretty healthy though. Yeah, I don't know. No, it looks like something was cut off. I don't know.
And just moved back about an inch.
Moved back about an inch. Yeah, 1 inch will do that to you. 1 inch will change people's lives, you know? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I mean, dude, 1 inch could be life-changing. Who knows? Less than ideal. Less than ideal. All right, guys, so we got a little roadblock. I mean, not really a little roadblock. Just part of building cars. I have to order some materials, and then I guess it'll be cut and make fit. So we're going to have to take the transmission out again. So that's really not a big deal for not putting that damn, where is it? I needed to put that pilot in the back of the converter, but I didn't do that. From what it's looking like up here, if I were just to cut the end of this tube off and then just put like a 45 off there and have it go back and then have this bar just bend around, we could probably put a clover here and a clover on the other side and make this back piece where it is removable. And you know, I'm not a big chassis guy, but I mean, I guess you just gotta do chassis stuff when you gotta do chassis stuff, you know what I mean? So we will get to I'm gonna order some parts. It's Friday right now, so not many parts will get ordered from now until Monday, so I'm just gonna have to find some shit to work on, and we'll just kind of, I guess, go from there. But we got the transmission in, which took like what, 5-10 minutes,
if that.
Yeah, I mean, it's very, very nice to work on a car. I say this all the time with an exposed transmission. You guys don't really understand until you work on one that is like this. It is an absolute joy to work on because how nice is it? Like, Tyler tightened some converter bolts from outside of the car on top.
It beats working on a stock truck.
It really does. So, yeah, I mean, we're just kind of here in limbo. Everything else seems to look good. I mean, I think so Matt put the motor in here, and I don't know, something in the car was built centered and something wasn't, and it's looking like this drive shaft's favoring this side. So I'm thinking that like the rear end centered. It's essentially like the rear end is crooked. We centered the engine in the chassis, but the rear end is built like with offset in it to one side. So I think that's what we're seeing here, but I think everything clearance wise should be good. We are going to have to build a drive shaft enclosure, so if we do have to make new drive shaft loop, and then this back bar where it goes across, like on the black sheep, we cut it, we sleeve it, and we put a dip in it. You need to have that dip there to get, you know, maximum drive shaft clearance, so when you're at full extension, nothing hits. So if you guys are getting a car built or a chassis built for radials, you know, be sure to say to your chassis guy, like, hey, are we going to run a dip in that bar? Because I don't want to run into any drive shaft clearance issues. There's nothing worse than when you build a car and you can have 9 inches of separation or 8 inches of separation or however many you want, but you can't use it because the chassis doesn't allow for the extension. Like the anti-roll bar maxes out, your drive shaft hits. So you really want to make sure all that stuff is accounted for when you're building it. This stuff it's like chess, not checkers, so you really got to plan 2 or 3 steps ahead. As you can see, when you go to modifying something where like, hey, we're just going to stick this hog ass small block Ford in here with this hog ass transmission, and the car was built to have, you know, a different motor and a Power Glide in it, you run into some issues. So but all this stuff is part of like the process. So I got some stuff here in a Parker Speed T6 flange, a Parker Speed turbo drain flange as well, some Race Parts Solutions V-bands and flanges. So I think overall we should be good to go and ready to rock once we get the transmission in there, drive shaft length measured. We're going to send that drive shaft off to PST to get redone, and then we can, you know, move forth as far as mounting the turbo and doing all that fun stuff. So I'm just giving you guys a 100% step-by-step. This is how it goes building something like this. So are they fun at this point? No, not really, but it's just they're fun once you get over the hump. So we're in the hump right now. So there's a couple spots here that I can get to a little bit better to weld out. So I'm going to do that real quick before I wrap it up for the night. So I'm going to get to welding. I'll leave the camera on for that, and then we'll be wrapped up and call it a day. Alright, y'all. A couple ugly welds here and there. Chromoly is a whole nother beast compared to stainless. I got really good at welding stainless. I say I'm decent at aluminum. Chromoly is very hard. For me, you got to be very temperature controlling. But we're getting better at it. Chris is the canvas I learn on. So, sorry, Chris, if there's a couple ugly welds. But I promise you they're structural. So, alright, guys, that's going to wrap it up. Don't forget, go to lsnasty.com, get entered to win. We'll see you guys in tomorrow's upload. Have a great day. Enjoy your weekend. And go do some racing.